If you build it, they will come. It's probably some of the worst advice you can apply to your farm business, or any business for that matter. In fact, your farm business is dead if you do not have a customer. In this video, I am actually going to walk you through number 1, local markets and how I found them. Number 2, 6 ways that I am using the internet to bypass the sale barn and direct market my farm. Number 3, how you can do the exact same thing for yourself. And number 4, how I actually broke my own rules in buying my first livestock before finding the customer. If you guys have been watching this channel for a while, you will know about my friend Carl Abel. Now, if you don't know who Mr. Carl Abel is, please click on the link in the description below for a video I made on him. When I first came to this desire to sell product off pasture for profit, he was one of the first people that really invested his time in me. But when he came over and he heard my plans that I wanted to sell grass-fed beef for profit, he said, "I think it will work, but you have to do this. You have to think backward and find your customer first." And that is an absolutely baseline principle in marketing. It is market research. But at that point in time, I was so excited about all of these principles and so excited about this idea of healing the food system by selling pasture-raised meat that I had, honestly, bypassed that particular point in my thought process. But that conversation sent me on a quest to find and create a list of potential buyers really before I made any sizable investments in my farm. And number 1 way that I did that is I did a farmer's market tour of all of the farmer's markets basically within a 1.5 hour radius of my location. As I went to these farmer's markets, and number 1, I looked at the competition that was already there for what I intended to sell. Number 2, I looked at the prices that they were selling this product for. And number 3, I looked at what was not there and how, as a farmer, could I fill some deficits in these farmers markets. Now, as I did this farmers market tour, that is kind of where I discovered that the grass-fed beef arena was pretty saturated in my area. And I also found that lamb was actually going for 30% more than beef at the retail level. Number 2 way that I researched local markets before making sizable livestock or farm investments was I took to the internet. I googled grass-fed beef in Dallas, Texas, and I looked at my competition, and I looked at the prices, again, that they were selling their product for, and I looked at just how many resellers I was up against. Now, in this, you guys know I switched from beef to sheep, and it was really in the market research that I made that ultimate shift, because here's what happened. As I was researching beef, I was working grazing management with the flock that is now mine. At this point in time, I had put this flock on Instagram, and I was chronicling my daily grazing management just as a means of journaling it for myself personally. Well, this Instagram account kind of took off and the flock itself was flourishing on this grazing management. As I was doing this, I began to do market research for sheep and found that there was not only a tremendous supply in demand for sheep, but also sheep meat. Now, this is something that the Lord really arranged for me, because in this particular pocket of time, I was really deliberating in myself as to whether I ought to commit to this flock and continue to care for them, or to relinquish them back to the family farm. And in that sort of that week that I kind of had to make a decision, I get a call from someone who had been watching my Instagram account, and they were a grass-fed organic meat reseller, and they called me and said, "I will buy 40 lambs per year on a recurring basis." And that was it. And that was the point at which I shifted full force into sheep, because not only did I have that buyer, but I also began to realize that the demand for not only sheep as breeding stock, but Dorper sheep as breeding stock was incredibly valuable. And I found internet groups dedicated to buying and selling the Dorper sheep breed. I found entire festivals designed around this breed. And I realized that my sales stream for this Dorper sheep breed was incredibly broad for me here in Texas, USA. And that was enough for me to say I can commit to this flock, and I believe, Lord willing, I can make a profit. Now let me get to 6 ways that I have used the internet to bypass the sale barns and begin marketing my farm. As I mentioned, I booted up an Instagram account just to take pictures of the flock and to share what I was doing with them through their grazing management on a daily basis. Number 2 was I had started a newsletter to keep people updated on my farming journey. Number 3, I built a website to showcase my flock and to ultimately sell my lambs and livestock there on that website. Number 4 was Facebook and Facebook groups. Another rather incredible thing is this YouTube channel right here. I mentioned I started as an absolute beginner, and I wanted to create a video library for myself on on various things like how to treat hoof rot, how to assist a ewe when she's lambing, and just how grazing management impacted the health of my sheep. And people began to take to this information, and this YouTube channel right here has become a huge opportunity for exposure to my farm and selling my farm products straight off of my website. As always, support the channel, buy the merch at shopshepherdess.com. And these are things that are easy and almost free to implement. In fact, right here, I'm going to give a shout out for farmontheweb.com, where I walk you step by step through how to put this 6-step marketing plan into action for your farm business. Making a living at small farming probably poses some more significant challenges than it ever has, but we have been presented with tools like never before. This challenge is paralleled with unprecedented opportunity, and if we can bring those together, make them meet, I believe we have the potential to be extremely successful as the Lord allows in this field. Now, I've got to get up close and personal and say this. Sometimes you are not going to have it all figured out. In fact, these videos make it look like I have had it all figured out from the beginning, but there's a certain element of this journey that has been an absolute leap of faith, and sometimes it's just the next step that I have that I can see before me, and I want to encourage you in that. To be honest, you don't have to have all of the business logistics figured out to get started. There's a huge amount of merit in learning how to grow food and work with animals and the land that I say it's worth chucking the business plans and just getting started. Now, understand that whatever you invest, you probably will not get back in anything but food for your family and your community. Go for it and do what you like with what you have. So that segues nicely into how I actually broke my own rules in buying my first livestock before I had a buyer in line for them. They were 3 beef steers. It was the very first livestock that I ever bought. I bought them before I bought my flock, and I bought them simply because I knew I had to do something and I had to get started, even if I had to give away that meat that I grew on this grass. What I was doing in growing that and learning the processes and working with the land and enhancing the land through these regenerative practices, I knew it would be worth far and above anything I could earn. So I sunk that $2,740 into 3 beef steer with no buyers and no potential profit plan. Now, my decision to undertake the sheep was a little bit different in that I had a lot of different market streams, but I want to encourage you guys in that I broke my own rules and I had to get started because I realized we were facing a crisis. And if you guys want some more information on that crisis, click on this video and watch it to the end. And if you are running a farm business, comment below, how are you finding customers for your products?